And he made mention of this big Egyptian saint because really he's a name that you shouldn't do without. He's someone that should easily be on your tongue because of his knowledge of hadith, 200,000 on the tongue, and his knowledge of fiqh. He was remarkable. He was absolutely remarkable. Another one we had is Ibn Amir Hajj al-Halabi, who was a Hanafi judge who died in 865AH. You then had Burhanuddin Ibn Muflih in 864AH. Okay, Burhanuddin Ibn Muflih is one of the commentators on the text Al-Muqni'. There were 400 commentators on his text, on the text Al-Muqni', excuse me, 400 commentators on Al-Mukhtasar, excuse me. Al-Muqni' has had about 9 commentators. He was one of the 9 commentators with his text Al-Mubdi' Sharh Al-Muqni'. And Burhanuddin Ibn Muflih, rahimahullah, what he did is he summarized the positions from all the other commentaries on Al-Muqni' and collected them together in one. It's about 4 volumes. I think it's, although it's missing some of the depth of the other commentaries, I don't think Al-Mubdi' was meant to be as in depth as the other commentaries, say Al-Furu' by Imam Ibn Muflih. Al-Furu' is 11 volumes in some printings, whereas Al-Mubdi' is 4 in most printings. I don't think it was meant to be exhaustive. I think it was meant to be a summary. And Burhanuddin is the grandson of Imam Ibn Muflih, whose book Al-Adab al-Shar'iyya we did. So Burhanuddin Ibn Muflih is his grandson. So we're still benefiting from the knowledge all the way down. We're benefiting from the knowledge of the Ibn Muflih family. Palestinians, again, Palestinians, saving the day. Most of the Hanafi scholars that I've mentioned here that are coming from Palestine, like Halab, Palestinian scholars. A lot of them. We then have Alauddin al-Mardawi, Ibn Fahd al-Makki, Mawla Khasraw al-Hanafi, who's a Hanafi judge in Constantinople. All those ulama died in 885 AH. Now, this Imam, Alauddin al-Mardawi, he was the last Mujtahid Murajjih to die. You may want to note that. He was the last Mujtahid Murajjih to die. The last one. Now that's interesting because Imam Ahmed was the last Mujtahid Mutlaq to die. The last Mujtahid Mutlaq to die. This Imam, Alauddin al-Mardawi, was the last Mujtahid Murajjih to die. And you see the writings that he left behind where those Murajjih people, they started writing indexes. And so when they would write an index, they'd say, if you see the Hanafi scholars using this phrase, they mean by that this. Because they realize the people coming after them might not have the depth to know who's being referred to. Like sometimes if you're reading a book in Hanafi fiqh and somebody says, and Al-Qadi has said that this is the dominant position. Who is Al-Qadi? That could be anyone. Shaykh al-Islam has said that this position is weak. Who is Shaykh al-Islam? Imam al-Ansari has said this position is... Right? If someone says Al-Qadi, for the Hanbalis, it's Al-Qadi Abu Ya'la. If they say Shaykh al-Islam, for the Shafi'is, it's going to be someone different. But there's titles and phrases and nicknames that are used, or you'll be reading through a text and it'll just have Sheen, Noon, Ra. There'll be the discussion of the fatwa and the issue, and they'll say, yes, and this issue is this. Ha, Mim, Noon. What's this? Ha, Mim is, it was related in Ahmad's Musnad. And Noon is Nisa'i. Or you'll see after it, Mim, Ta. Muttafaqun alayh, Bukhari and Muslim. How are you going to learn these things? You either have to learn through an index, or, right? Now, some of our teachers today don't like indexes. A lot of our teachers don't like indexes. They said you should learn because of the bahur, because of heavy reading and study. So it was beat into us And we used to get in trouble for going to the index. The books that catch you going to a book of mufradat, what are you doing? They make you do extra 500 hifz because they see you going for the mufradat. I'm just going to look something up. Get away from that. What do you think you're doing? I'm just going to look at the mufradat of this hadith because you're trying to find the beginning of the hadith. You're trying to find the hadith. And you're thinking, well, rather than go through all 6 volumes of Bukhari's Sahih, I can just find it in the mufradat and then I'll know where it is. And so you go for the mufradat. What are you doing? Sit down, ya tilmeed. Sit down, student. They catch you going through there, going through the mufradat again, huh? Give me 500. And you got to do 500 of whatever the book is that day. So the indexes, the fahris is fine. But the fahris is generally used by the qadis or those above who are going to be explaining it to the layman. In the beginning stages, the student of knowledge and those people, they don't go to the fahris. You know why? Because it makes you weak in your later career. Because you're always used to the fahris. You know how many times I've seen someone who is supposed to be a student of knowledge get taken apart because he can't remember where something is found, even the general proof of it? Like in just a foundational issue. It's like one sheikh, he told us, he said, we're all fuqaha until the lights go out. And what he meant by that is, when you got the lights on, you can reach your library, you've got your alim CD, you've got everything. Oh, you're Shaykh al-Islam. Ya alim al-ulama. Ghawth al-a'zam. Right? Mufti al-anam, the mufti of the mortals. But then all of a sudden your meter cuts out. Hits the emergency mark. And all of a sudden someone calls you on your mobile with a mas'ala. I can't get my books. I can't read my books. The cataracts on your eyes don't allow you to see. I can't get my books. What good is such knowledge then? That's why it was beaten into us repeatedly. Hifz, tabahur, tabahur, tabahur. Hifz, hifz, hifz. Because it's important to understand. So when these mujtahid murajjih people were dying out, they wrote down so people would understand coming after them what mim ta and what hamim and what noon and what these other things meant, or what anhu. Anhu literally in Arabic just means from him. Anhu. What does that mean? Nassa alayh. It's a text mentioned from him. Who? Right? Only someone who done tabahur would mean who it's talking about. Right? And sometimes you have ulama who they have similar names. And then you really start to get in trouble. Or what if you have a fatwa or fatwa from the Imam? Imam Abu Hanifa rahimahullah is given a fatwa on a matter, but here it seems like there's a similar one. Or it seems like the Qadi Abu Yusuf and Muhammad bin Hassan al-Shaybani are going against him. How do you reconcile it? Can it be reconciled? That's where all these issues come about in. So the mujtahid murajjih people left behind these things. Right? We also have Kareem ud-Din Abu al-Mukarim al-Buwaiti, who died in 888 AH. Khawaja Zada died in 893 AH. Burhanuddin Ibrahim al-Laqani died in 896 AH. Badruddin al-Hussein ibn al-Siddiq al-Ahdal, the Yemeni judge and grammarian, died in 903 AH. He wrote perhaps one of the greatest commentaries on the Arabic text Al-Ajrumiyyah. He's a wonderful, Imam al-Ahdal is a wonderful alim. Wonderful alim. Another alim who died, Ibn al-Mabrid, died in 909 AH. Now this is very important. Imam Ibn al-Mabrid, along with Imam Shihabuddin Ahmed al-Uskari and a number of others, were the teachers of a man by the name of Ahmed ibn Atwa. Okay. Ibn al-Mabrid was a teacher of a man, he was a chief judge in Damascus, and he was the teacher, along with a couple of others, of a man by the name of Ibn Atwa. His lineage extends to Ibn Atwa. So the teaching lineage goes through Ibn Atwa. Uskari, lineage goes through Ibn Mabrid to Uskari, and then the lineage goes through another alim, who is Musa al-Hajjawi, another Palestinian. Musa al-Hajjawi, who died on Eid al-Adha, before the Eid Salah. Imam Musa al-Hajjawi died 958 Hijri, according to some accounts. He is the direct teacher of Ahmed ibn Atwa. Ahmed ibn Atwa was the first Qadi ever to be given permission to be Qadi over the entire peninsula. That had never happened before. Okay? So he's been sitting with Imam Musa al-Hajjawi, rahimahullah, the writer of Zad al-Mustaqni', one of the most important commentaries in Hanbali fiqh. So he sat with him for a number of years, memorized 10 books from him. He turns to him and he says, with Imam al-Uskari, now go back to your people. Because Imam ibn Atwa was coming from where? Imam Ahmed ibn Atwa was coming from Najd. He's coming from Najd, the Najd region. He said, now go back and teach your people. He said, I shall certainly go back and teach the people of Najd. He said, no. We give you permission over the whole of your domain. All of Arabiya. 3 Qadis told him, go back, you're in charge of all of Arabiya. They held that as a district. This is the first time that ever happened. Ever. So he goes back and he teaches his people. Now another name will come up next week. This name is, and I want you to maybe write it down because we'll come to him. His name is Sulaiman ibn Ali al-Musharraf. Sulaiman ibn Ali al-Musharraf. He's going to come up. And he's very important because he is a key to part of the puzzle that we'll start to unravel over the next couple of lessons. If you can put the pieces together from Sheikh Sulaiman ibn Ali al-Musharraf, put the pieces together from him to the others, you will have reached critical mass. Now you have Muhyiddin Abdul Qadir al-Rajihi and Muhammad ibn Ahmed, who was head of the Zaydi Shia in Yemen. Both of these people died in 910 AH. Now, the Zaydiya are the most moderate of all the Shia. They do not curse Abu Bakr, Umar, and Uthman, but they tend to call themselves Tafdiliya, the preferers. They said it would have been better if Ali had been made the Khalifa. And we still accept the rule of Abu Bakr and Umar and Uthman. But it would have been better if Ali been the Khalifa. To which the scholars of Ahlul Sunnah responded to say it would have been better if you hadn't have said that because you're still kuffar. Do you see how resolute our people were and still are, most of them? There's not a lot of wishy-washy. Now there's people, the windshield wipers are going one way and they're going another, and they're not firm on what they're upon. They're not firm, and that's why they're in the problems that they're in. So the Zaydiya claimed lineage from Zayd ibn Ali. Zayd ibn Ali was going out to battle against one of the tyrannical rulers in his time. And they said to him, what do you say about Abu Bakr and Umar? Because he's trying to gather support to fight against one of these tyrannical rulers. And some of the Shia are around him. And he says, I don't say a bad word about the 2 sheikhs of Islam. Because Abu Bakr was the first one to be called Shaykh al-Islam. And Ali called him Shaykh al-Islam. When they heard him say, I do not say a bad word about the 2 sheikhs of Islam, they abandoned him. They abandoned him. And they said, Tarafaduni. He said, Tarafaduni. He said, You have abandoned me.